Alrighty, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Belong Be Become's monthly Facebook Live, where I share well-being techniques and practices by professionals that like to share the things that they're passionate about. My name's Alana, and this evening I'm lucky to be interviewing, well, chatting with the lovely Catherine Pampallis, who is a breath coach and yoga teacher in Sydney. And she's going to explain tonight why cultivating a strong connection with our breath is helpful to assist our overall well-being, down-regulate our nervous system, and to just make us feel a little bit more calm and grounded, especially in this very not calm and grounded time. So welcome, Kat. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you, Alana. So lovely to be here.
Yes, lovely to have you as well. Would you like to just introduce yourself a little bit further and explain how you became passionate about what you do as a breath coach?
Absolutely. So my name is Catherine, and my journey to breath. So I'm a South African, and I've only been in Australia for just short of 2 years. And before that, I was in the UK, and I suffered quite a bad burnout in the UK. And that led me to discovering and choosing yoga. And so my background is very stressful environment and work ethic, and so much so that and other personal things ended causing a lot of chronic stress, which led to a burnout and a breakdown, and me questioning what I was doing and changing over a year or two. Healing, there was a lot of healing involved, and I decided to choose the path of yoga because I was practicing it. I loved it, and it was something that I turned to as my therapy through the stressful times. So I decided to pursue it as a career, and that led me to discovering the breath. And I know, Alana, how yoga is for many of us, it deepens or starts the exploration into the body, and that you begin to discover things about the body that you never knew before. And that's where breath led me. And I remember the day. It was one of my first yoga classes in the UK before I decided to do breath coaching or anything. But the day that the yoga teacher told me to breathe deeply into my belly, and me being so shocked by this. And I remember going, my mind is racing with questions. I was like, I just want to put my hand up and be like, why are you telling us to breathe into our belly? Aren't we meant to hug it in and hold it in and keep the core safe? And yes, there's a place for that, but until that moment, I didn't understand that we have this part of us that is there to support us, and using the diaphragm, breathing into the belly, is so necessary for the health of our body. So yeah, that was like a huge revelation, and I think that's from speaking to others and hearing other experiences, I feel like that's quite a common thing with women, particularly to have this perception of keeping the belly tucked in and staying with the belly tucked in. And
that's so true.
Yeah, it's so true. Like
it's so like restricting. Why do we do that? Oh, I hate that.
I know, it's a vanity thing. I think it's a part of it anyway. When we were younger, for me it was, and I mean, I even remember in school, one of my friends, she had like a 6-pack, and I was like, how do you do that? She's like, just hold your stomach in like all day, like don't let it go. We're all like, okay.
Man, that's discipline. If you get a 6-pack doing that, that is some strong discipline.
That is some strong discipline. I tried and I was like, I can't. Yeah, so that was sort of the first like, whoa, breathing into the belly and allowing it to like actually sit with this, our stomachs out, and not being so ashamed of it. So
it's a release, isn't it? Must have felt very liberating.
Such a release, so liberating. And that got me to, that was always in the back of my mind. And through yoga, then I went in to study yoga, and you learn about pranayama. I didn't really connect to pranayama through my teacher training. I just couldn't. I think because in my personal training there wasn't really there was no teachings behind like the science and the nervous system and practicality. I didn't really click with it. So I still taught it in my classes, but I felt quite disconnected from the practices. And so I still taught them and they still felt good, but I still felt disconnected from the breath. I still felt like I was just doing this because my teacher said I must do it. And then I went to study breath coaching, and now I teach it, and I teach it from a much more functional space. So it's still yoga breathing, but it's stripped down to practices that backed by science that can support you to bring energy into your day, that can support your digestion, that can support your mood, your nervous system to balance out, to help your sleep. So
really important.
Yeah. So so cool. It's so cool to have this practice now that is so ancient and so amazing to be brought full circle and actually start to use it and implement it into your day and support your nervous system, which is the thing that we need to work on.
Absolutely.
Regulating, because it's part of the structure that controls our heart and our digestion system and our lungs, and
plays a really big part. And what comes to mind when you say these ancient practices, the things you can use every day, something that I mentioned to you from the very beginning was that things that are accessible for the everyday person is something I'm passionate about, and this is why I do what I do. So and that's what I love about your approach, is that we call it pranayama because we've studied yoga and we understand it from that with that kind of Sanskrit terminology. However, anyone can do these practices. You host workshops all over the place, online, in person. So I guess you could talk to us first a little bit about, you've mentioned the nervous system quite a few times. And as I said before, educators are prone to sort of having a lot of burnout, something probably similar to what you've experienced. And I know myself as an early childhood professional, I've been working in various different places over 15 years. You're running on adrenaline a lot of the time, and I'm sure that compromises the way that you breathe quite a lot. What are some really, I guess, easy ways to keep it rhythmic and steady throughout the day, even when we're experiencing little bits of stress?
So just a little bit about the nervous system for you guys. It's important to understand that there's two sides to the nervous system. And so there's the fight or flight response, which is generally speaking that stress response, but it's an important response to have in our lives, of course. It's the response that gets us to get into action, to work, to it's the go
stay
response.
motivated.
the motivating response. It's the wakeful and alert response. But if we are in it for too long, then yes, it can lead to high levels of anxiety. And then we have the parasympathetic response, which is the rest and digest response. Yeah. And that is more the relaxed response when we're tired, we're sleepy. It's also connected to feelings and emotions of like love and empathy and connection. And after eating, we would want to be in this response, for example, because the blood is coming to the belly, and it's when we're digesting our food, rest and digest. So these are the two sides, and how breathing. So it's an automatic nervous system. It's mostly automatic. We don't know what's happening. It's just moving, right? But with breathing, we can actually manipulate it. So there are the practices that I teach and that there are in yoga. Some of them can stimulate us, so stimulate that sympathetic, and some of them can relax us, really relax us when it comes to breathing. And I want to give you guys as much as you can, but I don't want to get you guys too lost with what I've got. But basically, the rate, your breathing pattern is primarily defined by the rate that you breathe. So meaning how slow or how fast you breathe. And probably now you're probably breathing between like 8 and 15 breaths per minute, which is usually a little bit higher than the average rate, just because of the world that we live in. Today's busy world, we tend to breathe too fast, actually.
And I would say even children are breathing faster because of the amount of stimulation around us that we can't control. So I think everyone could benefit from your information.
Absolutely. And you guys can bring the practice I'm going to teach you today. You can give them to the kids that you look after. If I don't know how old they are, but if you can, with kids, of course, there's the attention span and things, that you can make it fun for them.
Make it fun.
You can breathe like inhale, exhale, go around your finger. You can do it with any sort of pattern. You could do it with T. So inhale, long exhale. For kids, which is really sweet, just to practice slowing down the breath. Slowing down the breath. And another thing, I know I'm going a bit off track, but because you guys work with kids, it's really interesting for you to start observing how much they breathe through their mouth versus their nose. Because we want to be breathing through our nose primarily.
Yes.
And kids, there have been a lot of studies around kids breathing through their mouths has caused a lot of palate development. So what's it called? Jaw, like deficiencies and things in their jaws from breathing. So there's a period when your jaw starts to develop as a child. I think it's around, the main years are like around 8, 9, I think. And if we're breathing, the breathing through the mouth has been shown to impact jaw development in children and cause braces when you get older, and mouth guards and things, which is really, and
sleep apnea, adenoids and all that kind of thing. I have a few children in my class like that. Yeah.
And it's got a lot of it can be solved through changing breathing patterns, especially when they sleep. So breathing through, checking that they're breathing through their nose, not their mouth. So interesting
stuff.
So interesting. So the rate. So we want to slow down the breath. So everybody who's listening, slowing down your breath and consciously noticing where your breath is. So if you're breathing up here in your chest, Can you bring it down into your diaphragm, into your belly, pausing throughout? You can put, what's a really nice idea is to put reminders onto your phone. Or you might have one of those watches that tell you to take a few deep breaths, but really do it. Like, I know it's like, oh, I'm just going to take a few deep breaths. What it's going to do to you is it's going to start to, your nervous system is going to start to react to it, and it's going to soothe your nervous system. It's going to soothe the main nerve in the nervous system, or the vagus nerve, which is mainly responsible for that rest and digest response. And you can start it'll start to support the regulation.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I like that. So obviously we're not allowed to have our phones with us when we're in our classrooms, but perhaps if you associated it with a particular transition, like whenever we take the children to wash their hands before meal time, that's when we take a deep breath in. Like it's that association.
Yeah.
And keeping it like a routine, like it's big breath time.
Yes. And try do like 3 or 5, breathing down into the belly, slowing down the breath, and then slowly relaxing it.
Okay, easy. So that's a really simple and practical thing they can do throughout the day.
Practical.
Excellent.
So practical. If there is a moment and you don't have to close your eyes, if the kids are around, you can still just sit there and breathe in, breathe out, and allow that belly to go. Like, to just be free, right? It takes time, actually. It's amazing how much tension we hold in our core, in our stomach.
I do notice that myself, actually. And I think, going a little bit off topic, when you do practice yoga quite seriously, get used to things that you have to lock in your core and in your Mula Bandha pelvic floor. So often, like if you are doing these kind of practices, you don't have that freedom. So nice to, when you do breathe out of your belly, like I feel an instant release. Like I try and do that on my lunch breaks, just putting my hand here and breathing, letting everything go. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And just knowing, having that understanding now that it's literally, so this the main nerve in our nervous system goes from here, from the back of our brain, all the way down through the vocal cords, all the way down to our stomach. So it actually goes through the diaphragm. So every time we breathe into our bellies, it tickles this nerve.
Oh, wow. And that's what stimulates it, but in a calm way.
Stimulates the parasympathetic nerve. That's why we feel that instant release.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's so helpful. And the practice that we'll be going through today is simple, and it's just 4 in and 4 counts in, 4 counts out. And so the rate's important. The practice that we're going to do in a few minutes is the science behind it. So it's 4 to 6 breaths per minute. So our average breath is about 8 to 12 breaths per minute, although we're breathing a little bit too fast, generally speaking. But if you think of the perfect average, it's 8 to 12 breaths per minute. That's what we want to get to. If we chop that down in half, so 4 to 6 breaths per minute, that's what we're going to be practicing with this breathing practice. So if you think about it, like, we are halving our breath with this breathing practice. So of course something's going to go on inside of us. We're completely changing the rate of breathing in our bodies, and this has this adaptogenic effect on our nervous system. So if we're feeling sluggish, like midday, 3 p.m. sluggish, it can bring us up. And if we're feeling a little bit high and anxious and airy and up there, it can bring us down. And that's the science behind it. That's what's been proven. And it's also, there's lots of studies that show, because it has this balancing effect on the nervous system, because our nervous system directly related to our heart, it supports with heart resonance, so high heart rate variability, which basically means a healthy heart. So,
yes. Oh, we want that for sure.
Yeah, so it's good for
Oh,
the heart,
great.
good for the nervous system. It's just the best one to practice, and you can practice all day, any day. It can be practiced all day. Yeah.
And in terms of like, long-term terms effects or even short-term effects, what could be like some noticeable differences or benefits just from prioritizing doing a couple of these a day? Like say if you've got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or you're just doing those deep breaths, like we said, throughout the day, what could you notice as a change in your body or in your mind?
Yeah, so consistently practicing this one, you will everybody has a different experience of it, but it's this, gosh, you begin to build resilience in your nervous system. So it's this greater capacity to deal with stress, this greater capacity to hold yourself. And there's this thing in the teachings, it's we widen our window of tolerance.
Like that.
All right, so we're able to hold ourselves through the storms without
The reactivity just becomes a bit less. Or
exactly, we're able to respond to our environment rather than react to our environment.
Which is a tricky one for educators because we do need to be quite reactive because things can happen so quickly. But at the same token, if we're not in our best form, then even things that require responses can be compromised as well. So I don't ever want educators to think that I'm like, oh, we'll just do this and we'll be fine. No, I still work in the sector and I know that we do have to be on our toes a lot. But these are things that we can do throughout the day that are just going to help us on our lunch break before we go to bed. Yeah, there's so many things that can just make a big difference, even if practiced for a little bit of time.
Totally, yeah, totally. It can make a big difference. And we want to have more control of our emotions and our reactions. And this is one thing, one small practice that can support that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, let's get stuck into it, shall we? I'm really keen for this. And I know a lot of educators, if you're in New South Wales, well, probably not all of New South Wales, but Greater Sydney, you're wearing masks at the moment day to day. And I was just saying to Kath, as soon as I took it off today, I felt like, oh my God, I can breathe again. So this has actually happened at the perfect time for us. Yeah, do we need to be seated? I can't say anymore.
Everyone.
Seated for this one.
Yeah, no. So it's, yes, you can. So this one, remember, you can do seated, standing, while driving, whenever.
Okay, whenever.
But today, I invite you to, if you are available, to lie down. Just
okay, great.
This evening. Otherwise, seated is perfect as well.
Okay.
So lie down or seated.
All right. We'll give everyone 30 seconds or so to do that if they need to.
Absolutely. So while you're
get
doing
anything
that,
at all,
you're going to be lying down, and can you all rest your one hand onto your belly, onto your diaphragm, just so that we can connect to it for this round and feel the rise and the fall. Okay. And we're going to close the eyes down. And if you're sitting, relaxing the shoulders. Try and, if you are sitting, try and have your back away from the seat, sitting up nice and tall, and chin parallel to the floor. Relaxing the facial muscles, relaxing the jaw, allowing the eyes to pull back into their eye sockets. And just noticing already how the pace has changed. And the shift that you're experiencing in this moment. I'm going to be doing 4 in and 4 out. Allowing the belly to rise on the inhale and fall on the exhale. All right, let's begin. Inhale, belly rise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, belly falls for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, belly rise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, belly falls for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, belly rise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, belly falls for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Through the nose, inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, belly rise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, belly falls. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last round. Inhale, belly rise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Eyes remain closed. Breath is natural now. Taking a moment to notice how you feel. And then gently blinking open the eyes.
Oh, I so needed that, Kath. Oh, it's just so nice to take that time to breathe.
Yeah. It's
wow,
so
I feel very calm.
Yeah, it's so good. And sorry, I also wanted to share that I do have a recording of this. It's so helpful. I know you can't do this while you're working, but in the evening to have somebody guide you, and you would have felt that now. It's yes, you can do it on your own, but there's another element of concentration and peace that you experience when there's somebody guiding you. So on my Instagram, in my bio, you can follow along to this practice. Have me in years. So
no, that's great. And you're right, when someone does guide you, you feel like you're held by that person. And I know often when I guide a breathing technique, I'll say, okay, now continue on your own pace. And you didn't do that. And I was like, this is actually really nice because you're still carrying me through this process.
Carry you through the whole thing. Yeah, always. Yeah. So that's it. That's the practice, and use it and know that it's safe. And yes, it's accessible.
I don't know what happened.
Hello? Cool. Can you hear me?
Yep, still there. Something just went a little bit funny. That we're back. I heard you laugh a little bit. I'm sure. I hope it didn't stop for everyone.
No, I think it's cool. Yeah, so that's all.
Okay. So before you go, Kath, firstly, thank you so much for coming. It was so lovely to have you and hear a little bit more about why the breath is so important. I learned so much about the little tickly thing with the belly breath. I didn't know that. I just thought it felt good to let it all hang out. But the fact that it actually stimulates your parasympathetic, the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
That's quite fascinating. And, I also thought when children are really upset or feeling overwhelmed, we tell them, take a deep breath. Like we don't listen to our own advice.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. So we just need to implement what we're
Practice what you preach.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, before we actually part ways tonight, remind us the name of your breath coaching endeavor
Yes.
and your workshops, and just give us a little bit of info about that in case people are interested and want to follow you.
Yes. So I'm on I've got a page on Facebook. It's Beautiful Heart Yoga Sydney. And I've got a Instagram. That's where I am mostly, is Beautiful Heart Yoga. And my website is also beautifulheartyoga.com.au. And I will be, I do private, so the way that I train is over 4 weeks. So that, and I do calls per week. And within that container, there is space to really learn and implement and embody these practices. And I will be hosting another online group 4-week program in 2 weeks. So on the 18th of August. And all the details are on my website, and I will be posting up about it in my Instagram.
Yeah, perfect. Well, great. It's good that it's consistent. Beautiful Heart Yoga. You can't forget that if it's across all platforms.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will put it in the comments or just in the description, so that we can find it nice and easily. But thank you so much, Kath. I'm sure that you've helped a lot of people. I can see a couple of comments now that they're feeling calm and relaxed, and lots of love hearts and things like that. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll just keep remembering what you said, and keep breathing. Stay calm and keep breathing.
That's the trick. Thank you so much.
All right, Kath, have a lovely evening.
Thank you, everybody.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.